job.
Thanks.
Well done. Oh, look, it's like reading a story.
Yeah, fireside chat.
Too far back.
It's tempting to lie back in these chairs.
Yeah, they're big.
Right. So, first of all, I would like to talk about the EU. Start with a big one. What are your views on the EU? Because originally you were standing as a candidate for We Demand a Referendum Now party, but you are no longer. So would you talk a little bit more about that? And your feelings on Europe?
When we didn't have a referendum, notionally, I thought it would be a great idea that we stood as a party that was We Demand a Referendum. However, when Cameron came along and went, I know, it's all going to be fine. We're all going to have a referendum after 2015 once I've renegotiated. The British public didn't really hear all of that if I'd, and they just went, aha, we've got a referendum. So at that point, standing as a We Demand a Referendum party was a bit non-existent. But my overall views on Europe are that we probably deserve to have a say. I'm 39, I look 52. But in my lifetime, I've never had a say on... My nose profile for you guys is really harsh. Is it obscuring her entirely? Because that's a pisser right there. My view is, in my lifetime, I've never had a say on Europe, not at all. And that doesn't seem quite right when you hit nearly 40. So I think it is time people had their say. It's time they had an informed decision about Europe. And for me, I would want to stay part of Europe, but certainly I would take much more the Swiss approach, is that we're partly in, partly out, and we have much more control over who makes our laws, who governs our country, and who we allow in and out of our country as well.
Okay. You're pretty well known for your strong views on a variety of topics, and also for not retracting a lot of the things you say and refusing to apologise. When did you last change your mind on a serious issue, and what was it and why? Do you want me to do it?
Changed my mind on this board water bottle. I haven't, I don't think, changed my mind on anything.
Ever?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I changed my mind...
Like what you want for dinner?
No, I changed my mind about whether it isn't a good idea, ever, to marry someone that looks like Ian Duncan Smith. I have learnt that in my lifetime, and I advise all women, all men of that persuasion, don't do that. It is a bad idea. But otherwise, no, I stand by everything I've... Does anybody look like Ian Duncan Smith in hair? I stand by everything I've said. I stand by everything I've done, really. And I don't apologise for any of it. So, you know what? Deal with it.
Okay.
I know, I just threw that in there just for the harshness.
Sort of following on for that.
Yeah.
You've been called the biggest bitch in Britain.
I know. That's rude.
Do you care whether or not people like you, or is it part of the Katie Hopkins kind of brand?
Yeah, my parents read the Daily Mail, and people always say, oh no, I don't buy the Daily Mail. It just so happens that they've always read it, and in BBC Broadcasting House, the biggest read paper is the Daily Mail, although the most orders for a newspaper are put in for the Guardian so that they look better. But my parents read the Daily Mail, and they believe it like a Bible. And if something happens in the Daily Mail, that really happened. And when the Daily Mail said biggest bitch in Britain, my parents believed that as well. So no, I don't think I am. Look, okay, I got rated like I think it was number 2, world's worst person. I got.
Seems a little harsh.
Yeah, that's harsh. That was the Last Leg. Anybody watch The Last Leg? Yeah. You have to obviously be a double amputee or amputee to be on that show, but which is great. But yeah, so I was rated world's second worst person by those guys after Putin. I don't know. I just think people may have lost a bit of perspective. Like Myra Hindley and stuff are still, they're kind of out there as people may have referred to. But yeah, I'm kind of up there as biggest bitch. But I accept that. But mostly people are quite nice to me in the street.
But do you quite like being disliked?
No, I don't quite like being disliked. Most people prefer to be liked, but I am perfectly prepared. I'm perfectly prepared to be disliked. And actually, that's probably what is my USP, is that I am probably the only person that is on TV a bit and is prepared to be very disliked. Because most people want to be liked. That's why people post messages like, Peach has died, oh, I'm gutted. Because they want to be liked. They want to be liked. And you know, tweeting stuff, just to be seen to be liked, I don't buy into it at all. So I'd rather people hated me because they disagree with me than liked me because I was a Magnolia woman.
Okay. Speaking of women...
that was with an I, did you hear that?
Thanks.
You organised the pubic debate as well.
That was a spelling error in one of our emails.
Because the thing is, isn't it? The thing is about being at Cambridge is that you're so smart. You're so smart at Cambridge. Your spelling is just so dead on. Yeah. I think a pubic debate is an important debate to have. And I would encourage you to look at your union and say, yes, we want more. We want more pictures of ourselves stood under someone's pubic bone in the Daily Mail. Okay. We want more pubic debates.
Well, I will take that on board.
Take it on board.
Right. You had said women used to want equal treatment. Now they expect special treatment.
Oh, yes.
And you've got some controversial views about how women respond to equality and how do you think, if we do in fact want equality, how we should pursue it?
Yes. So I really believe in kind of universal treatment. So I went to Sandhurst, and at Sandhurst, completely equal. So you wear the same jumpers, you get the same kit, you get the same boots, you get the same socks. They don't fit us properly, but everybody is treated exactly the same. And that's really what I believe in, is this universal treatment. So we have to recognise now that boys and girls play on the same playing pitch. You know, in business, in work, in the city, we're all on the same playing pitch. Now, you cannot ask for that to be an all-girls team and expect to be judged just on an all-girls team. You have to be prepared to be chucked in there. And that's why I don't believe in all-female selection lists or recruitment. I don't believe in quotas. I don't believe in anything that's skewed in order to get more women. I don't believe in the BBC's policy now, there must be a woman on the panel. You know, if you're there by just by the fact that you have your chromosomes in a certain order, what on earth is it that you have delivered or proven? And I would never want to be anywhere just for being a woman or for being on a kind of recruitment shortlist that was just made up of women. So I don't believe in that at all. I don't believe in that kind of special treatment. I don't like women that complain. I don't like Criado Perez. I don't like Stella Creasy for those reasons. You know, they're on Twitter, someone says something a bit nasty to them, they have a little cry and go to the police. That isn't for me. Most trolls out there, the ones that want to gang rape me in the arse with a rifle, actually, I'm sorry if I offend. Those things are written, I'm just repeating them. Most people that do that, they're 50-year-old men that live at home with their mums and eat their own earwax. We have to accept that. They floss their teeth with their own toenails. And I think we have to accept that's who they are. And you don't need to go to the police about those people because you're probably better than them. So that's my opinion on trolls, that's my opinion on equality, is we have to give as much as we take. And I think sometimes women take offence at stuff that just is regular stuff. You didn't get picked, okay. Some people don't get picked. We don't always get picked. Men don't get picked all the time either.
You just spoke about equality in the army, but the army is now about to review females in close combat roles.
Oh, I know.
So, do you think that women should be able to serve their country in this way?
No, that's terrible.
And why not? Why not? Why not? You just spoke about equality and how we have to go for it. So why can't women serve their country in that way if they want to?
All right. Nice of you to turn up at the advertised time of 7:30. Nice posters, well done there.
That's an accident.
Would I put women on the... you get a lot of things right, don't you? Would I put women on the front line? No. Not at all. I work with quite a lot of lads now. I represent White Van Man, working for the newspaper, The Sun. I love The Sun. And I love the Marines. And do they want a woman next to them if they're fighting? No, they don't. And that's absolutely fine. You know, ultimately, women do work on a completely different axis to men. I'm generalising massively. We are emotional creatures, governed by emotions. I don't... Let
her finish. Let her finish.
I quite like that they squeak. Some of them like a real squeaker, like squeaking. Just like little mice. So we're emotional. I'm not an emotional. I don't really represent women. I think my balls are slightly too large. So I'm not a typical woman in the sense that I don't represent women very well. I appreciate that. But I think women are too emotional. I don't think you need women on the front line. And if I were one of the lads, I wouldn't want a woman next to me on the front line either. So that is my view. I totally appreciate that loads of us will disagree with that. I totally get that. I'm not very girly.
So you speak always very...
Do they get to ask questions, Rick? Just you?
Do you want to respond?
Talks for bloody ages, don't you?
Sorry.
All I say...
Sarah Dory, St John's College.
I can't hear you.
Oh, sorry.
Is it on?
I think so.
Sorry.
Hold it closer.
Okay. Sorry. Sarah Dory, okay. Sarah Dory, St John's College. Are you aware that what you've just said was incredibly sexist?
Which bit?
Well, actually both bits, because actually the question that Katherine asked earlier as well about all women shortlists, I found your answer quite sexist to that as well, because you posed that as the idea of women getting where they are because they've been shortlisted because of their gender. Well, we live in a culture where men are shortlisted for everything because of their gender. There's a reason why 80% of our MPs are male. There's a reason why we have, one woman on the FTSE 100 companies list? That's not an accident. That's because men get places by virtue of their gender. And if we have to skew things the other way to make it fairer for us, then we should do that. And saying that women are... And on your second point, saying that women are more emotional than men is sexist, quite frankly. You are doing our entire gender a disservice by reducing us just down to our biological functions and not saying that actually your level of emotion comes down to who you are as a person, male or female. It has nothing to do with gender.
I think we disagree. I don't see life that way at all. And I think to say that all women shortlists aren't about gender. I mean, for me to be, even if I was on a shortlist with a whole bunch of women, I would look down that list and feel really uncomfortable that I wasn't competing with the boys. And this goes, I suppose, a good way maybe to illustrate this, and accepting that we are completely at opposite ends of a polar spectrum, and you'll be very happy that you're as far away from me as possible, and I respect that as well. In maternity leave, I'm not a believer in maternity leave, because I believe that if you're going to compete on an equal basis, you're shaking your head. It's so upsetting. We must get a microphone to you. If you're going to compete on an equal basis, then you have to get back out there and get back at the job that you're good at. In the States, I spent 8 years working on Madison Avenue in Manhattan, and they get 6 weeks unpaid leave. And I think that's a really good model for maternity leave. It's one that I would prefer us to have in the UK. They also have hire and fire at will in the States, also a model I subscribe to. I think it's fantastic. What it actually does is increases the number of people. You're looking very, very dubious and sceptical, but I assure you, sir, it's fantastic. I'm talking to the gentleman in the pink. Yes, it's not more of a dusty pink, isn't it? More of a rose. Yeah. They hire and fire at will. And that's actually a fantastic thing, because what it does mean is they hire in times of plenty, when there's a lot of work around. They can let people go, but also rehire them. I think it's a really fantastic system. If we had that in the UK, we wouldn't need to have so many 0 hours contracts. Anyway, I went wildly off on a tangent there, but my point really was that's why maternity leave for me, for example, is a good example where I don't think we should have special treatment just because you had a baby. So what? I'm your employer. I don't care. I don't want to pay for it. Get back to work.
Okay. So to go back to the army for a second, you always seem to speak very favourably of your time there. You loved it. Do you regret leaving the army?
No, I didn't have a choice. I lied to get into the army. I had a 35-year regular commission with the Intelligence Corps. That will come as a surprise to those that think I'm thick. And I respect that too. And and they sponsored me through university, but I lied to get in. I didn't tell them I'm epileptic. I'm not about to fall on the floor. I only have fits in my sleep. It's fine. And I didn't tell them about it. And when I passed out of Sandhurst, not literally, up the steps, everybody else turned right, I turned left. And they decided it wasn't a great idea to have an epileptic with an SA-80. I think this is probably true. So that was fine. There's no sob story. That's just why I had to leave.
Okay. And sort of public attention on you can be at times quite strong, going into your personal life. And you've spoken before about the impact it's had on your family, but what's the impact on you personally? You seem quite a strong person, but sometimes some stuff does seem to affect you, especially when it talks about your children. So what's the personal impact of media attention on you?
Yeah, no, it's fine. I really accept it all. What I really dislike, actually, is people that put themselves out there in the media and then complain. Oh, it was all in the edit. Oh, I was made to look bad in the edit. Oh, it wasn't like that at all. I met people from the Bake Off, Great British Bake Off, people that like to cook. I mean, really, please. And they were made to, there was this kind of, they got into the kind of the characters of it to kind of sell the programme in. It was a good idea. And they made one of them really strong and one of them really weak. And then one of them had really big eyes and was really pretty, so all the other women hated her, blah, blah, blah. They did that, right, whatever. But my point is, it's never all in the edit. It is what it is. They portray you as you are. People say, oh, you were made to look a bitch on The Apprentice. Oh, I bet you're not like that, really. But yeah, no, I was. And it's fair. It's fair. The camera doesn't lie. The edit doesn't really lie. Okay, it rejiggles things a bit. It can make you look quite a lot fatter than you are. But in reality, it doesn't lie so much. And I always say to people, you know, if you don't want it, you don't like it, get yourself off the sofa and go home. You don't want to read nasty stuff? Don't write an article in the Daily Mail and never read the comments section under it. Because people that are at home on their keyboard warriors, I'm not coming to that Hopkins woman talk. What can I possibly learn from her? She's a complete cow. They're keyboard warriors, and that's fine, that's their chance, but don't be offended by it, or don't choose. You know what, I can't offend anyone, but you can choose to be offended. I don't give offence, you just choose to take it. No. So if you put yourself out there on telly tough toots, suck it up. And so that's kind of a message to myself, yeah.
Are you afraid of anything?
No.
No?
I don't really like fat people. And I wouldn't like to meet a ginger in the dark. But, no, I'm not frightened of anything.
Okay, good to know. We've talked about Europe. I'd like to talk about Scotland. Do you care if they vote for independence?
No, I do.
Bothered?
I mean, I'm torn. I'm torn, really torn. Hands up, Scottish people. Oh, I say well done. No, it's okay. You're going to be okay. You look really scared. You look really scared. Is it because you're really close that you're scared? You're not scared of anything. You're just really fidgeting. You're moving so much. Right, any Scottish people over here? Scots? No Scottish people. Outrageous. So, do I think the union is by far the best solution for our countries? Yes, of course. Do I think Scotland will be able to go it alone? Do I think that's wise for them? No. Do I think they've been sold a whole bunch of promises that aren't going to come real if they were to be independent? I think they've been sold a complete lie. Do I think it would be a disaster for their country? Yes. On the flip side of that, am I particularly fond of Scottish people? No. Is my Sun column printed in the Scottish Sun? No. Because I would cause too much offence. So that's I'm torn. I'm torn. So part of me just wants them to go. Labour would never get in again. Boris Johnson would be in as PM. My world would be complete. I have a 5-year-old son. I have his hair cut specifically so he looks more like Boris Johnson.
Okay. Let's talk a bit more about our society. So you wrote in the Huffington Post, sometimes it would be good if we spent more time protecting the cultures others have chosen to join, rather than defending the rights of those that have chosen to join it. To what extent are you in favour of a multicultural society?
Well, I do feel that sometimes we spend so much time tiptoeing around in order not to offend those that have come to join our great nation, that we forget about the ethos and the values that are at the heart of this great nation. So I believe that whatever religion everybody is, we are underpinned by Christian values. The idea that you would help someone up if they fell over in the street. The idea that you might not steal another woman's husband. We may sweep over that one. The idea that you wouldn't... The idea that you wouldn't steal. You know, just general Christian values. I like the idea that we sit on a bedrock of those. And do I like the idea that we have a Trojan horse pushed into the hearts of Birmingham? Anybody ever been to Birmingham? It's not something I recommend, but the idea that our schools will be taken over by extremists, they can't teach biology. Christ knows what they're going to do with 72 virgins when they get a hold of them, because they ain't got a bloody clue, because they've never had a biology lesson. But do I believe, therefore, that we need to protect the Christian values of this country? Yes. Yeah, I do. And I can be seen and perceived sometimes as the anti-Islam. I get that. But it's not that. I just hate halal.
Okay. If you had to change one decision in your life, doesn't have to be something you regret, just something maybe you want to make better.
Yeah.
If you had to change one thing, what would it be? Or are you content with everything?
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything because I really believe that, my life doesn't fit a normal... Probably many of you here will have done brilliantly at school, will have got brilliant GCSEs, amazing A-levels. You've come to Cambridge. Your parents must be beyond proud to tell everybody that you're here. And you'll leave here as one of the best, brightest, most brilliant students in the country. And your trajectory may carry on in that perfect line and carry on forever until probably about 95, where you just pop off. But anyway, a brilliant straight line trajectory. And that is the most efficient thing, of course. Zero friction, zero resistance. It's a perfect trajectory. And I admire that very much. However, my line looks a little bit more like it was drawn by, somebody that was put in some kind of crazy roller coaster. So it looks a bit more like a ping ball machine. It's gone ping, 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 ping. And I wouldn't change it. It's put my parents through hell, probably sometimes. I've made myself look a complete tit on a number of occasions. I've made some very poor decisions, I don't doubt. But my life's been really exciting. And it's been very different and very dynamic. And I've been able to live through a number of different businesses, industries, jobs as a result. And I wouldn't change that either. Do I recommend you take my path? No. Do I think that if you end up on my path, there is a light at the end? Yes, I do. And is it really, really good fun? And every day, do I love what I do? I really do. People say, what do you do? And I wonder too. But actually, I think I spend a lot of time talking about issues and trying to take them to a level where other people can engage with them. And you'll be measured on the performance you deliver. At the moment, you'll be measured on your exam results. I'm measured on the amount of interaction I get, the amount of social interaction, social media interaction, number of readers. It's all sort of statistical analysis of the amount of pull I have, viewer pull, reader pull, that sort of thing. And so that's now how I measure success. So I'm measured in different ways, but I've really loved life so far. I sound like I'm talking as if I'm about to die. So if I do die tonight, this is quite a nice sort of way to go out, I suppose. But no, I do. I've really loved how things have gone, even though probably they're not most efficient, and I wouldn't counsel them nor advise them. So keep going on your straight line path. Yeah.
before we move on to take some student questions, I've got one more.
Yeah.
If you had to give a single piece of advice to the undergraduates in the room, in addition to some of the other little tidbits you've given us, what would it be?
Stand for what you believe in. Yeah, stand for it. Yeah, I love the fact, I really like the fact that most people can be super honest with me. So they can tell me they hate me, they can tell me they really like me, they can tell me some people want to marry me, which is really weird. They can tell me anything they like, and I really love that. I love the fact that I will honestly stand by anything I've said. And I feel very disheartened by things like Fandy from UKIP, 3 days ago on Channel 4 News, I love UKIP, I love UKIP, I love UKIP. Then I know what will have happened. The entire world will have fallen around her ears. She'll have been descended upon on social media, probably attacked in the street, shouted at. And today she's in The Guardian saying, I hate UKIP, I hate UKIP, I hate UKIP. That's unbearable for me. You know, whatever you believe, fantastic, but just believe it and stand by it. So stand by your stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to take some questions. Please raise your hand if you do have one. We will be doing right of reply. And if you would rather not ask it in person, you can tweet it to @Cambridge Union. If you would, we're using the hashtag KT@CUS.
You don't need to do that. You can
So if you are slightly afraid or would rather not ask it in person, you can tweet it. We're giving you the option.
Just add your name when you tweet.
Katie would like to know your name.
Sure.
So let's do in the middle. Harry.
Hello. I wanted to ask what your top 5 names and top bottom worst 5 names. And does having 2 legit if you've got 3 kids and 2 legit names and then one which is really rogue, is that, would you still let your children play with mine?
Okay, so you've got 2 legit and
You've
one
got
dodge.
you've got 2 legit names. So 2 legit names Percy, Oscar. 2 legit names.
P.O. Piss off. You
No,
really?
Percy 1, Oscar
Yeah, I
2.
know, that's code speak for piss off. Do you not know that?
And then the rogue one.
Tyler.
No, that's done.
Shiraz. Oh, no, what's a
I so love that.
JP Shene, I mean. Yeah, Shene. Let's say she's called Shene. The girl's called Shene. Would you let your kids play with
Yeah,
mine?
I love that the Cambridge Union interpretation of Chardonnay is Shiraz. I sort of love that a lot. So would I? No. No, would I let
No. And what are the top 5 names?
bad names, horrible
No,
names.
good name. Oh, it was
Oh
good.
no, the horrible. I will.
Horrible. Top 5 horrible names. Sorry.
Tyler! Destiny! Stop hitting him! Chantel, put that down. What would it be? Tiffany, I said... There's a swear word there. No. And then Hunter! Hunter! If you hit him one more time, I'm going to thump you so hard. And it is literally from the playground of an unknown school that I can't mention for legal reasons because they'll do me.
Which supermarket are you most likely to hear those names in?
Definitely Tesco names, aren't they? Aisle 5, frozen meats.
Okay.
Thank you.
I mean, who buys a frozen meat? I ask you, really. And we were doing a thing, actually. Very good as well. I like that very much. Well done, you too. We were doing a thing the other day about ranking, and it'd be good if Cambridge did this, I think, it'd be really fun. Ranking your supermarkets. So obviously Waitrose, obs, and then we were kind of going down, so it's like Sainsbury's, and then we were getting through all that, and then I went Food Bank. Because Food Bank must be above Aldi or Lidl, mustn't it? Because it is virtually Aldi Lidl, but free. Okay? Anyway, just one. Just throwing it out there. Throwing it out there. Would you put Aldi above or below food bank? Food bank. No, but would you? Yeah, no. I know, but going back to the question, would you put Aldi above or below food bank? This is the key point. Above a food bank. Okay, fair.
Okay. And then right at the back over there, in pink, Dusty maybe.
Hi,
Becky. You sound like Dimbleby on Question Time when he goes, you over there, the woman. No, man then. Yeah. I didn't mean you, I just, Sorry, totally
Becky
bad.
from Downing. You talk about equal opportunities and judging people on their actions, so not saying putting women on shortlists, but you seem to stop your children from having equal opportunities. You seem to be taking their rights away by not letting them play with other people. Those children don't really get a choice about their name, I'm afraid. Like, their parents choose it, so surely those kids should get an opportunity, because their parents might be a bit dodge, but what about the kid?
I love the way you do this. You just atom with them. Yeah. Yes, right. No, my children don't have equal opportunity in the sense that I don't need them to have the opportunity to be equal with little shits.
Why not?
Because, what it is that there is always, and you'll understand because eventually if you chose to have children, and then eventually if you get to the point where the same kid turns up late every day, the same kid doesn't have the right stuff every day, the same kid doesn't, their parent doesn't contribute or turn up or have the forms for the school trip, so they have to leave late. The same kid have free school meals, and yet somehow, miraculously, has an iPhone, iPad, TV in their room, Xbox, it just starts to drive you a little bit bonkers. And that's where I am. I'm batty and bonkers because of a system that drives me potty. And you know what? They get rewarded for not throwing the brick through the window. Oh, well done, Tyler. That's marvellous. You put the brick down. Fantastic. Rock on. You kids, you've done the right thing all day. Sod off. Tyler, fantastic. Have a bit more golden time. That's the state system, and it does my nut.
I see that point, but that child's stuck in that system, and the only way it's ever going to get out is through opportunities with people who aren't maybe trapped in that system. So perhaps Tyler playing with Tyler, as you put it, might not lead to change, but Tyler playing with your child might.
I don't know. I think it's great to...
Percy.
I know. Percy Oscar. Freddie Oscar. Don't take the mick out of my wink. It's nice. I think for me, I'm just throwing it out there, on the day that Cambridge has been told off for not having enough state school students in it, in the Times, I think preserving an elite system is a fantastic thing. I think Cambridge rocks. I think Oxford rocks. And do I want this place to be judged by the number of state school kids it's got in it? No, I don't. I want it to be judged by the fact that you guys will rock when you leave here. I don't care how many state school kids in here. I care how clever you are. And you know you're bloody clever. I don't care about being elitist, social mobility. Pat, give me social class any day of the week. I'm not elite. Because you're here. Because you're here. Okay, go on then.
Can we wait for a microphone?
Go on.
It's going to be on YouTube.
Finally.
I want to hear this.
Come on.
What if I told you that I grew up on a council estate and I was surrounded by people called Tyler? What would you say to me? Because obviously that didn't hinder me from getting here. I went to a state school. I didn't come from a privileged background. And you're saying you want to preserve the elitist system?
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense. Like, where's the logic?
I do love it. And I mean this really... Oh, I can't use the word nice because it's too horrible. I mean,
it's okay to be nice to people. It's an okay thing to do.
No, I can't really. It makes me kind of, it's like a gag inside. And I was also taught at school never to use the word nice, weren't you, surely? But I do feel that it's really important that we are allowed to celebrate fantastic things. And if you've got here from your own merit, judged on the same grades to everybody else, fantastic, you know what? But do I want these places to be skewed so it's easier for someone from a state school to get in? No, I don't. I don't agree with that. That's social mobility policy, and I don't agree with that at all.
But it wasn't skewed. I got in because I did well in my exams.
Yeah, no, so I'm saying I wasn't accusing you of not having the say. That's not what I said. I said the way things are moving, social mobility means...
It's harder for me to get in. Okay, for instance, I was lucky enough to get my A-level GCSE results, got into a grammar school. But you get an opportunity at grammar school and a private school. You get tutored, you get a lot of help to get into Oxbridge, to get all the entrance statistics, find out everything about it. If you go to a state school, there isn't as much help. So it's not so much about the statistics being weighed towards state schoolers, it's about state schoolers not actually getting the same opportunities as private schoolers, which is why in some respects it has to be tilted, because, you know...
but that's just assuming that we accept that people that pay for school actually got given the money from some glorious money chicken that flew down one day and laid a golden egg. That doesn't happen. Actually, what happens is parents work jolly hard.
My mum worked really hard, thank you very much. She worked so hard.
This isn't about whether your mum works hard or not. There's a insinuation that everybody that's middle class and goes to a private school has in some way been gifted with that opportunity. I don't think it's a gift. I see people working jolly hard to get that opportunity.
Yeah, but my mum worked just as hard, and no child should be advantaged because of who their parents are. Every child should have the same start in life, so I don't agree, but whatever.
Question on the front row?
Hello. I think it's
Tyler, St John's College. You seem to think that by letting state school kids in, it's just like a free-for-all. If you go to a state school, you're going to get into Cambridge. No, you have to meet the same targets that people from private schools will meet. You have to achieve the same grades, perform in an interview. It's not like it's an open gate. There are still the same procedures. It's not as if letting more state school kids in is going to bring down Cambridge's attainment. Why do you have such an attack on state school children?
I think it's just based on the idea that there could be a rebalancing so that it is slightly skewed in favour of helping state school children to get places, because there's a league table today, you know, that assesses universities saying those that have more state school children are better, in the same way that grammar schools are measured on the number of free school meal children. I don't know where that measure came in. How is free school meals a measure of academic ability? I can't get my head around it at all.
Let's go forward on this side. You've had your hand up for a while. There.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well.
Good. I just want to gauge your opinion. Do you think by letting in more state school students, Cambridge University would be lowering its standards?
Would be muddling.
Would be lowering its standards?
I think if it gets to the point where Cambridge is encouraged to lower its entrance requirements for state school individuals, then yes.
Sure. But then, can I just ask?
It's a suggestion that will happen in order to achieve the percentages they're requiring.
Okay. So you think it would lower the standards, right? You think it would lower our standards?
If the entrance requirements were lowered, yeah.
Sure. Do you not think we've already lowered our standards by inviting you to speak here today?
Shall we have another question, guys? One of our fire stewards. Would you like to reply? Yeah. You'd like to reply? Okay. Katie's allowed right of reply as well.
It goes strangely like a zoo in here, doesn't it, sometimes? But I do think, there's a slight attitude that that people should feel honoured to come here. I don't feel honoured to come here. I feel really thrilled to come here. I think it's really good fun. And I think it's really good fun that people get stuck in and involved. That, for me, is a real win. But given that if you give up your time to come somewhere, to see people, to chat with them, do I think that's a good thing to do with my time? Do I want to give my time up to do that? Yeah, I do. So you can stand there and you can make that face and you can think you won your support from your crowd. I'm sure you have. But I know inside that probably the more noble act was done by myself.
Hands up. I think one of our fire stewards who gave up time would like a question.
Fire steward. Fire steward.
Okay, so my name's Ruby, and I went to a state school. And the reason why sometimes people with lower grades who went to state schools get in when they wouldn't with those same grades from Eton is because those kids do better than private school kids who have more help. The reason we do it is because they do better in their degrees. It's not because we're lowering our standards. It's because sometimes things are more complicated than whether or not you can pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. And the kids who get to go to private school get to go because their parents have money, because their parents may or may not have worked hard. And the reason why an institution full of clever people like Cambridge sometimes takes state school kids who didn't do quite so well is because they know that those kids will do better. We wouldn't do it if we didn't think it was worth it.
I'm not arguing with a fire steward.
My name's Ruby.
Hi. Do you not think that by creating a kind of caricature of yourself and expressing your opinions in such a hyperbolic manner, you kind of seem to undermine some of the things that you say and invalidate them because people just expect you to say provocative things and not actually trust the content of them?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of people that think that, and there's definitely a lot of people say, oh, you can't think what you say. There's definitely people that say, oh, you're just a parody of yourself and all of that, and I see that. But then I think you have to also take kind of the context where I'm usually talking, which isn't in this kind of format. It's usually kind of 2 minutes on a sofa, 2 minutes on a radio debate, and they've got the opposition and they've got me. And so you have a very concise, a very short amount of time to get across the point that you need to make. So I think probably that's it a little bit, is that if you condense language, it's always going to distill itself into a very strong format, and so you get real strength from that. But I'm not trying to back away from the fact that I really think the things I think. It's just sometimes you have to get that point over really quickly and smash it home. And sometimes, particularly for your audiences, whilst you might watch a YouTube video at night in your own time, normally, if you're talking to a daytime audience, you have to smash that point home a bit harder because they're not the sharpest tools in the shed. So that's actually, it's about message and it's about audience and it's about how you're delivering it. And quite a lot of the time, all I'm doing is mapping my message to my audience and how I deliver it. But I respect that that can be interpreted very differently and may not always be interpreted in the best way.
And question in the front row?
So, Katie, I'm going to be frank with you. I didn't know who you were before you came. But I Googled you and I found some of your greatest hits on YouTube. And the one that perplexed me is actually quite similar to the one that seems to be perplexing everyone, namely your practice of limiting the people your kids interact with because of name. You say this is to make quick decisions in a high-pressure environment, which is an argument that I understand. And just to advance my understanding of it, I'm going to just pose a little hypothetical. Here are some facts. The average black family has a net worth a fraction of that of the average white family. Academic achievement among black kids is substantially lower than that among white kids. Rates of truancy are, if you'll forgive the pun, runaway. And in many jurisdictions, the average black child is more likely to go to jail than to college. I gather this is supposed to be a question, so here it is. Would you let your kids play with black children? And if not, why?
There isn't an answer to to that that's going to help me, is there? You know, I can tell you the truth, which is, yeah, of course they are, but that won't, you know, people will go, well, I'm not so sure. Or I can say, no, they're not, but that would be nonsense, because, of course, they can play with who the heck they like, because we've changed schools now, they're in a private school, it's perfectly fine. But before, do I make very quick judgments on families based on looking at the parent and what they've called their child? Yeah, I did. Yeah, absolutely, I did. That's an honest truth. That had no discrimination on kind of race or religion or anything else. It had to do with specific names that I recall. If I shut my eyes, I can see a picture of that family. But that literally is where that judgment ends.
Sure. And, you know, I'm not contesting that you make the judgment. I mean, many people in society are racist, for instance. But the thing I want to figure out, though, is whether or not you think...
No, you're not going to do that. You're not going to do that. You are not going... No, you're not going to power the racist word in. No, you carry on, because I'm going to talk right over you. As you keep talking, I'm going to talk right over you. So keep going, baby. You keep going, and I'm going to keep talking to you.
Sure, may I pose you a question, then?
No, you can't till I finish.
Sure, go ahead. Sure.
Pardon?
Sure.
You accept that?
I accept that completely, yeah.
Marvellous, carry on.
Sure. But the thing is, when it comes to skin colour, you're obviously uncomfortable about discriminating on the basis of an arbitrary characteristic over which the individual has no control, even when that characteristic does signify that that individual is socioeconomically disadvantaged.
You have control over a name. Your parents have control over the name.
Well, your parents genetically determine your race.
Your no. You've been shut up. No, I mean, I don't want to try and have the last word, because that's not the game. But this is about parents and knowing what you're going to find by the name that the parent gave the child. There was a twins in our local school that is nameless and isn't the school we're talking about, called Benson and Hedges. I mean, it's fairly depressing. It is fairly depressing. Yeah, I do wonder about what start you're giving your kid. It is depressing stuff.
Down here.
I don't want to have the last word.
Well, no, would you like to reply?
I don't like my husband having the last word, so I kind of would rather you had another word.
I mean, sure. You know, always happy to have the last word. I mean, look, to my mind, the thing that I'm confused about, and it is genuine confusion, is this. So I just explained to you that the colour of someone's skin does, you know, say a lot about the probability of that individual being truant, or the probability of that individual failing to do their homework, or a whole host of things that you cite as justifications for discriminating on the basis of name. So why the inconsistency, Katie? Why are you uncomfortable in the case of race, but happy to do it on something else that the individual has no control over, and that one might see as discrimination for precisely that reason, in the same way one does for race?
Yeah, and I can see how you could put those things next to each other, and there's a blurred line, but there's a definite distinction for me, because when I recall these things, they are definite families that clearly we can't say are the same families, but they are, and they do belong to certain individuals, these names. You know, they are specific families that are entirely disruptive in a classroom environment of 32 kids. It is a genuine frustration of a mother.
Downside here.
So you were saying earlier that you don't think people in public life should complain when people attack them in the media.
No.
And I get that your whole profession, you've made a career out of saying horrible stuff about marginalised groups and getting people on social media to come and...
What would be an example of a horrible expression about a marginalised group?
Well, I think we've heard quite a few already.
No, you go for one. Give us an example. You go for it.
Well, the working class names, as you...
Oh, you're going back to the name debate again?
Well, no, you wanted me to give an example. But anyway, so you are making a career out of saying horrible stuff, and you were saying that you do it because you need hits on social media, that's your career, that's how you get the money to send your kids to private school and everything.
That's how you're framing it up, is that I make a career
I'm
out of saying horrible stuff.
I'm framing it the way I see it, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
So, and that's okay, but your family presumably didn't choose to be in the public life, so I was just wondering how you felt about when you bring your family into these issues and whether that's fair on them.
Yeah, and it is one of the things. So after the fallout from The Apprentice, that was really bad. So we had people camping on my parents' house. Parents couldn't get out of the house. They were stuck in there for a month. That, really bad. That's not good, because they didn't ask for any of it. And as I say, I brought it on myself, and they didn't. So that was a bad thing. And then now, obviously, my children will grow up knowing stuff, reading stuff, Googling stuff. So all I can do is prep them with lines so they feel... Yeah, that you could do that, but your children always get drawn in somehow by association, in my experience. It doesn't matter what I do. And I have to take a fair amount of fairly harsh stuff online because they're my children. Nasty things are said. And the best I can do is help to equip them to know what to say, which is, that's my mum's job, I'm me, and so I don't want to talk about my mum's job. That's where we are at the moment. Obviously, there'll be another discussion when they hit their teenage years. It's a position you can't really defend. If you're in the public eye, you can't really defend the fact that it's going to impact on your family. There's nothing I can say to defend myself.
Would you ever step out of it if your children asked you to? When you have that conversation in their teenage years,
yeah,
if they said...
Yeah, maybe that... Well, I mean, and also, obviously, everybody has a sort of shelf life. So you could, you might just find that you're stepped out of it anyway. But yeah, certainly for them, there's a sense where people know who I am at the moment. That's still a fairly cool thing for my children, like, oh, your mum's this or that. But that will stop being cool at some point. That'll be a tougher thing.
Yes. Over there. Oh, no, sorry. Just there's a person. Thank you very much.
Hi, we've talked a lot about kind of getting the right start in life and the example that parents set for their children. So I'm very interested in your views on maternity leave. I suppose really a genuine question, if it were less focused on the woman and more focused on the parents as a partnership or however many people are parenting the children, would you have better views on that? Or is it the fact that they're out of the workforce and at home with their children that you have a problem with?
Yeah, it's and the paternity thing is here. You can swap between yourselves as long as the woman's off for the first 6 weeks. Then you can swap as long as you only swap in one chunk now. The woman can take, for example, 4 months and the guy can make up the rest or whatever. Yeah, so you can do that. From a small business perspective, that's obviously a nightmare because you're then dealing with two separate companies looking after a man and a woman, and they aren't talking, but somehow they have to do this crazy handover. That's very inefficient. But for me, it is about the fact that as an employer, I don't want to pay for your decision to have a child. So it is absolutely that harsh. You want to have a baby? Fantastic. Great. But as an employer, I don't understand why we make it in this country so that it's almost like the employer decided that they wanted to have a child or they wanted you to have a child. I find maternity pay huge. 12 months off, massive. And then the idea that you can come back and ask for part-time, flexi-time, and any other combination in between seems peculiar to me.
Sorry, I understand that, and I'm not in a position where I've ever had to employ anyone, so I can't imagine that. But we have talked so much about setting an example for your children, and it's one thing to show your children you're going out to work and you're working hard, but surely there is something that's got to come from forming early bonds with your children, being able to get to know them, not having them in childcare all the time. Surely if you can do that, and if the government can enable you to do that, then that's got to be good.
Yeah, and certainly it's the choice of loads of people, and if you put a stay-at-home mum and a working mum, as in someone that's gone back to work straight away more or less, in the same room, they'll fight about anything. They'd fight over whether this floor was brown or not. It is literally that intense, the kind of sparring off between stay-at-home mums and working mums. And then on Facebook, the thing that makes my skin crawl is I'm a full-time mum. I never understand what that means. Like, what, the rest of us are what? Part-time, flexi-time, half-time? So that, I don't like the definition full-time mum. But I do find this whole kind of moral high ground that's taken by mums that stay at home, I find that really difficult. The whole mum's net culture, difficult. The full-time mum, the hardest job in the world. I find that challenging as well. And so for me, going back to work was just a really natural thing at 6 weeks after each baby. I'm not a maternal type, I suppose.
Couple more questions. Way more hands. Where have you guys been the whole time? On the front row. Who's got a microphone?
Richard Hopkins, Trinity College. I'm a bit older than you are. I never got to vote on whether I was born in England. I never got to vote on whether England was part of the United Kingdom. I never got to vote on whether the United Kingdom was a member of the United Nations. I never got to vote on whether the United Kingdom was a member of NATO. And I don't suppose I ever will get to vote on any of those things. What's special about Europe?
Yeah, no, it's fair enough. No, it's completely fair enough. I do take your point. I think it's because it feels like something that's obviously of the public. It is of a time and place. It is in the public interest. This weird support for UKIP is not, I don't think, generated out of any genuine wish to belong to UKIP. I think it's just a protest at feeling controlled by. I think if we could wrestle back some of the powers, people would feel more like they were aligned behind the Conservatives. So I think that's where it comes from. Do I think we need to give people referendums at every stage of the journey? I don't think that's the way to go either, because otherwise what's the point in democratically electing politicians to make those decisions for us? So it's a fair one.
Thank you.
Yes, here, the Brazil shirt.
Hello, Matthew, Christ College. You mentioned earlier that you thought the benefit system was broken when you said that people could buy smartphones and yet not get children on time to school. How would you fix a benefit system? And as a side note, not trying to hammer the Tyler point, but is it a specific Tyler or is it all Tylers in general? No, that's serious, because is it, you always mention it's a family you think of. Is it that one Tyler or is it all the names? Thank you.
So starting backwards, I suppose. It isn't just one Tyler. That would be unfair, although I can think of him. But no, sorry. It isn't just one Tyler. It is to do with, it is absolutely a fundamental snobbery point. And I am a massive snob. And that's what it is. It's a snobbery about getting your children to play in certain circles. And whether it's me that sits here and calls that out, or whether it's the rest of mums sort of pretending that we don't do that, okay. But it goes on. We control the children and the children's groups we let our children play with as part of controlling the environment they grow up in. Just no one else is really talking about it. So that, but I'm prepared to take the flak on that, but I genuinely believe that's what's happening, whether you call them Destiny, Hunter, whatever. There's a group, and those two groups are split in a playground. And then your first point, how do you fix the benefit system? For me, I think the Conservatives are going about it in the right way, which is squeezing the benefit system as hard as you can. Universal credit, I think, has been a great idea. The idea that if you're now on a JSA for longer than 2 years, you have to turn up every day to sign on. Fantastic. I'd make that between 6 and 8 a.m. up a very tall flight of stairs, because I think it's important that people understand the idea that people have to commute to work. Yeah, sure, you have to commute to sign on. You'll get refunded for it. But I think it's an important ethos, this idea of seeking work as opposed to claiming benefit. Just my thing.
Right.
Having said that, White D is back out in Magaluf promoting, is it crazy? There's a company she's promoting. 4 hours, free shots, bar crawl. Still claiming maximum disability for depression. Marvellous.
Right at the very, sort of, not right at the back, the one you just turn around. It's you, yes.
Yes,
you had your hand up earlier.
Sure.
Hi.
Hello.
You said you wrote for The Sun, but you also said The Sun, yeah?
Oh, sorry, I thought you said The Star.
No, you said you wrote for The Sun, but you also think that men and women should be treated equally. So I was wondering what you think about page 3.
Yeah, sorry about that. I thought you said the Daily Star. Imagine. Do you think that's the same? Do you? Do you think the Daily Star, Daily Sun, what, Mirror, all the same kind of thing? Yeah, yeah. That breaks my heart a little bit. Daily Star, just for the record, just for clarity, just in case it comes up in any of your exams, Daily Star's crap. And the Mirror, terrible. Sun, only way to go. Page 3, yeah. So page 3, I appreciate big debate. Laura Bates from Everyday Sexism. It's sort of, when I say that, it's the same sound that I hear when I hear nails going down a blackboard. It's that, really uncomfortable Laura Bates, but can't stand her. But that's another story altogether. Clearly, page 3 is something loads of people don't agree with. Clearly, when I open the Sun to read through, read every paper every day, but when I read it, do I stick around on page 3? No, I don't. Have the Sun tried to evolve it recently? Yes. So Tuesdays are Copperfield Tuesdays. And I know, I'm just explaining. So they're trying to take it on as some kind of pro-breast cancer thing, trying to help women think about checking for breast cancer. And so they're trying to tie it in with that to kind of soften it a bit. But the view at the Sun is that page 3 isn't going anywhere. So it's around, it's sticking around. So it's a tough one.
What do you think about it?
I personally, do I?
Equality for men and women, that like a naked woman is presented as news on page 3 when it should be important news.
No, I don't think it undermines equality of women. I quite like a pair of norks. And I don't mind looking at them particularly. But do I think it really sets us back? No, I don't. I really don't. I think we're well beyond a picture in a paper. Is that setting us back? You know, are we really that weak that a picture in a paper sets us back? No, I don't think so. I appreciate this isn't the modern view. I appreciate everybody in this room would get rid of page 3 tomorrow if they cared enough to do so. But as the biggest read paper in the country, you know, at the end of the day, this is a marketplace. It's about supply and demand. And I'm really proud of the fact that we're gaining readers every day. So I don't mind it at all.
Right.
I do see that it's a tricky one. And I do see that you totally all probably love Laura Bates.
We've got one in the gallery to go to a new area.
Go. Do you all know about Everyday Sexism? Yeah. Has anybody ever gone on to Everyday Sexism to write anything? Yes, you have. Not surprising. I'm really sorry, that was kind of cool. Hello!
Katie, you're keen to criticise people that claim benefits, whether that be for genuine reasons that they have to do so. Would you also criticise people like Gary Barlow, who've been in the press for avoiding £20 million of tax?
So that's your framing up of the question. I mean, I never think that there's a genuine reason to claim benefits. I think, given the opportunity, anybody could get work. You just need to find a way. Give me, you know, set me free in Cambridge tomorrow and I'll make whatever, 150 quid, whatever I needed to get my food. I could make that. I just get it. You just do jobs. You offer to do jobs. You know, this isn't the question, I appreciate. But you could make that money just by getting stuff done for people, finding a way, making things happen, enterprising. We can't go out into the workplace and expect to be you guys can. I respect that. Most graduates can't expect to go out into the workplace and get a job. It may be now that you have to create a business to generate your income. I appreciate this isn't really for here, but there we are. But to your other point, Gary Barlow, do I think he's done the wrong thing? No. We have to be very clear. If you read my article in The Sun, you'd know all about what I thought. But you obviously haven't read my paper, which is very upsetting. But I'll take that on the chin, as opposed to the nose. And Gary Barlow entered into a tax, if we decide it's a tax avoidance scheme, it isn't illegal. Tax avoidance isn't illegal. The judge has judged it unlawful and has suggested he knew it was tax avoidance, therefore it's wrong. But the rules have changed to make that happen because it is tax avoidance. It's just that HMRC have now decided to go after tax avoidance, despite tax avoidance not being illegal. This is the same HMRC that used £136 million of taxpayers' money in 2012 by not answering their phones. That's how much we spent waiting on the phone to ask questions about how to pay our tax. They don't answer 1 in 4 of the phone calls made to them. In 2011, they answered 49% of calls that went into HMRC. And I appreciate you guys don't really give a toss about calling HMRC, but when you do one day, you'll understand the real frustration of people trying to pay their tax or get an answer to a question and we can't get one. So you know what? Aggressive tax avoidance is still very prudent business policy. I thoroughly commend it. And if you can afford to get a great tax lawyer, go for your life. So we would have to agree to differ, I suspect.
I do agree with your points on waste in the government and HMRC. You've said that they waste so much money. But still, do you not think it's morally wrong to try and avoid tax that you should be paying, especially for a person like Gary Barlow who's taken part in Children in Need campaigns and then avoiding tax? I just find that so morally repulsive, really.
Yeah, he didn't evade tax. I think we're agreed on that, aren't we? He avoided, and avoidance is legal. It's still a grey area because the HMRC system has got so many loopholes in it that it shouldn't have. So it's HMRC that's got the system that needs to change its system. It's HMRC's problem. It needs to own its problem. You know? And at the end of the day, for me, Gary Barlow done a lot of great stuff for Great Britain. We could do with a few more Brits like him. I don't mind it. And they're going to go back on tour. Fantastic.
Right, we're going to do 2 more questions, so feel the pressure, people, whoever the last 2 are. Let's go for, you've had your hand up for a while, in the front row.
So you argue that what Gary Barlow has done isn't illegal, therefore it's acceptable.
No, it's not illegal, sorry.
It's not illegal, therefore it's acceptable, but claiming benefits also isn't illegal. So what makes that distinction? Why is someone claiming benefits doing something wrong, whereas someone who is avoiding paying tax doing something that's okay? Both are depleting the resources of the state.
Because for me, I think always if you're working, you're always better, in my eyes. Yeah, really, better than if you are shirking. I don't agree with the principle of taking benefit from the state. We will always fundamentally differ there. We'll always be at polar opposites of the scale. But I fundamentally disagree with benefits. I cannot understand why we allow that system in this country.
There just seems to be a bit of a inconsistency between the fact that you're blaming the system for HMRC's failure, and you're blaming the individuals for claiming benefits, when in reality it's the system that should also be criticised rather than the individuals who are just using it.
Well, you're true, but then I suppose if we stopped benefits tomorrow, there'd be a huge kerfuffle. But I do think that keeping on the squeeze with benefits is the way forward. I do see other countries where they don't have benefits. People are a lot more enterprising about how they get themselves out to work. So mine is a hard line, but I just find something morally abhorrent about not wanting to work. But I think that probably ties with this whole maternity leave thing as well. There's just something in me. I just really like working. So I think that's partly might be it as well. I can't comprehend not working. Working is my favourite thing.
Okay. So, last one. The one right, you've had your hand up for like a good 5-10 minutes, I think. So.
It's probably passed down.
I've got 2 points. The first is, you said everyone in this room would do something about everyday sexism if they really cared about it. What is Laura Bates doing if she doesn't really care about it?
I said everyone would do something.
You said we would, something about getting rid of.
You said everyone in this room, if they really cared about sexism, would do something about it. So what is Laura Bates doing if she doesn't really care about it?
Yeah, well, I suppose Laura Bates and everyday sexism it's like going into a cave and shouting. Okay, so you hear your echo back. That might be reassuring. You might feel better because you've had a shout. I think that's true. I feel better when I've had a shout. But the achievement is nothing. The sum total of everyday sexism is nothing. It's just a forum for people to go on, and please feel free, obviously you will come back, and maybe you'll come back as well, given that I was harsh. It's a forum for people to go on and complain about treatment they've had by men.
But actually men are going on and complaining as well, so it's not just women venting, it's actually all people feeling as though they can actually voice themselves.
Yeah, I just find it a bit... You know, a guy beeped at me in the road today. Get over it.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean? I totally agree that we're completely separate, we're different, we're going to violently disagree, and I'm not trying to convince you. This, in my world, get on, move on, get on. If you've got time to go on there and moan because some bloke beeped his thing, shouted down from a scaffolding, da-da-da, you know...
What about when people threaten to rape you, or...
Yeah, sure, that happens a lot. That happens every other day on my Twitter account. It is okay because I can make it okay.
Do you think that's acceptable then? If somebody shouts that they're going to rape you as a threat, do you consider that an acceptable?
I have come to a position where I accept that's going to happen to me every other day.
I think that's the point that Laura Bates is trying to make, though, is that it should not be acceptable.
Well, it kind of goes. You see, it links to my earlier thing about if you don't like it, don't put yourself out there. So I put my.
Okay.
So women shouldn't go outside.
No, that's a complete misunderstanding. In terms of, I'm saying, you know, when I said if you don't like it, don't put yourself out there. I'm talking about me. My argument about if I don't like stuff that's people say about me, I shouldn't put my face out there. So that's not about women. I'm not making a wider point about women. Don't put yourself out there. Christ. It's specifically, I think, I get that on my Twitter account because I've said stuff that's annoyed people because they can't iterate it in maybe in a polite or an educated way. They're iterating it a different way, which is a bit violent.
We're not talking about your Twitter account. We're talking about walking down the street and getting shouted at.
Yeah, it just gets shouted at me in the street too. But okay, fine. I am probably just from because of the way I deal with life, deal with stuff, deal with what goes on in my life. I don't see going on to a Twitter account, which is actually what everyday sexism is, or a Facebook account, whatever you want to call it, account, is still where you're going to complain about stuff. What is the point in going on a Facebook account to complain about something? What have you achieved?
I have a second point.
Okay. There was a second point.
Okay, go for your second point.
We are running out of time.
Sorry, I'll be quick. So I'm actually training to be a teacher. I'm doing the PGCE course, and there is a boy in one of my classes, I teach in a secondary school, called Leopard, and he has a brother called Cheetah, so I don't know how you feel about that.
I hope they don't get spots when they're teenagers, because they're bad.
They don't. And in my class, Leopard is very disruptive. However, he's also the boy who walks the severely disabled boy around school and is immensely kind to him, not because it's been given to him as a burden. He just does it because he's a nice kid. So I sometimes struggle when I'm teaching him. However, he has other qualities. And would you stop your children from playing with someone like Leopard, despite the fact that he could be an excellent, caring, loyal friend to them?
Yeah, I would. I couldn't be a teacher for any amount of money, but I simply don't have the patience. Would I stop them? Yes, because I haven't got time to find out they've got other qualities. That's the truth. It's a shortcut to life. I have to have shortcuts. It's a busy life.
I think, unfortunately, we have to...
Yeah,
well, would you like to...
Fine. We'll have a chat after. I feel bad.
You sure?
We should have a bit of a moan about something.
Well, you want to? No? Okay.
I'm not done.
Because we are running really quite... It was meant to be an hour. We're going on for past. This, I think, has been enjoyable, interesting, controversial, frustrating to some, and lots of different emotions. I say that as a woman. I think whatever we have come away from this feeling or thinking, it would be very nice if we round up with a round of applause. But before I ask for that, I would like to remind you of some things that are coming up this week. So tomorrow we have a debate on Scottish independence. Would be nice to see you. We've got a European forum on Friday. That's a joint event with another society. And then on Saturday, I'm going to say it wrong, Marty Artisari, there we go, who used to be a Prime Minister of Finland and has won a Nobel Peace Prize and worked in Kosovo. So that should be very interesting, and we would love to see you. But good luck with revision if that's what you're doing instead.
Really interesting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good.
No, I think if you've been Prime Minister of Finland, what else is there to do? Seriously.
You won a Nobel Peace Prize?
Totally. Nobel Peace Prize. Amazing.
Okay. So, thank you very much for coming, Katie.